how's it going? Today I am going to be sharing with you my bullet journal. I've been bullet journaling now for 4 years and I've really enjoyed it. It's been great. It's one of the few hobbies that I've picked up spontaneously and actually kept up with, unlike a lot of other hobbies which I pick up spontaneously and drop within the first few months. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it and I thought I'd finally make a video on it today. So we are going into November, so this is going to be my November bullet journal. If you want to see more bullet journal content, like the video and subscribe, and let's get into the video. Okay, so for this month, I wanted to make something super cozy and autumnal. I really wanted to use all these different types of paper I had as well. So starting with the cover page, I just sort of started tearing pieces of paper up and overlapping them to get a base started. This white paper's cool because it's kind of fabric-y and has thread sewn through it, so when you cut it you get all these threads sticking out. I added a border with a brown felt tip liner. These are the Crayola Super Tips, they're so good, and I just started sticking everything down. I then took a piece of this brown felt and drew on a little mushroom shape. I cut that out and then I made the stalk out of some lined paper and stuck them together. And then I added some shading and outlining around the mushroom too to make it look bolder. The piece of lined paper looked too clean, so I wrote some scribbly words on it using a brown pencil. I also had a couple of old birthday cards. One had butterflies and flowers on it. And then I also had this one, which had all these cats on it. They spell out happy birthday. So I cut all of these out to use in the spread. I then took my fine liner pens and grabbed a light brown and a dark brown to use throughout the journal for this month. So as this is the cover page, I wrote up the word November nice and big to put in the centre. My calligraphy is still not great, but I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. I put some brown paper behind it, but I decided it looked too flat, so I scrunched up the text and stuck it back down. I added cat friend number 1, and then I started drawing a little coffee mug, which I then cut out and decorated. This handle was super fiddly, I just could not grab it. To make the page look even more dirty, I took out my little stamping letters and a brown ink block, and I just started stamping letters randomly over the page. I also stamped NOV in the top. I added some marks with my fingers too. I took my square frame stamp and covered 2 of the sides with black ink and stamped that in 2 of the corners, again to make it more grubby. The grubbier the better. I drew a friend for the big mushroom because he looked lonely, and added more text in the bottom corner. This text actually says, "What writing even is this? I have no idea, only YouTube will know." I also drew a little jumper on some brown paper, cut that out and stuck that on. And here is the finished cover page. On the other side, I wanted to just do a quote page. So I started off by cutting out all these leaf shapes from the different types of paper I had. I drew a border to keep the spread consistent, and then I layered some more different types of paper and put a lined piece in the middle where my quote will go. I liked to scrunch up the brown paper to make it all scrunkly. Scrunkly. This little piece of string broke off, so I just stuck it on the cover page. I grabbed my little letter stamps again for the actual quote itself. So my quote for this month was "Fall 7 times, stand up 8," which I like because it was motivational from where I've been slacking on my journal, but also, you know, fall, autumn, hilarious. I know. As you can see, I also wrote it wrong and forgot the word times completely, which I didn't realise until after I'd finished recording, but I just covered that row with a piece of lined paper, wrote it again, it's fine. I glued down all the leaves as if they'd been blown off the trees. I put some of the leftover ones on the cover page too to match. I then went in with my fine liner and added some details to the leaves. I added more grubbiness to the page using my fingers and the stamping block, and we were done. The next page was my monthly calendar spread. This is the only calendar part of my journal. I've tried doing weekly spreads too, but I just don't end up using them, so I just write all my events in here. I used a page of the lined paper as my base for the calendar itself, and just ripped it at approximately the right size. I then used that as a guide and ripped some brown paper to go behind it. I actually ended up ripping it a bit too much, so I stuck some pieces back on behind it. You'd never know. I then started marking out the calendar boxes themselves using the grid spacings in the journal. They don't line up with the lines on the paper exactly, but I think that just makes it look more rustic looking. I wrote out another copy of the word November, and this one came out great. Wow, I am such a calligrapherist. Anyway, I tucked it in all cozy behind the brown paper in the corner. Next to my calendar, I like to put space for any short notice events occurring next month. So I did the same thing again with the brown paper and the lined paper. I drew in the calendar grid, some by hand and some using a ruler, and then I numbered all the boxes. I accidentally did number 31, but we'll just ignore that. For the days of the week, I cut out 7 felt squares to put at the top, and then 7 pieces of lined paper to go on top of those. I then got out my box of bigger letter stamps. I got these from Amazon, they're really good. And I used them to stamp the first letter of each day of the week on each piece of the lined paper. I really like how 3D and squishy this is. I used my small letter stamps again to write out next month along the side of this box. As with the first 2 pages, I added more grubbiness and more bits of paper, just wherever there felt like too much of the white paper was showing underneath. I added more birthday card cutouts, and I also made another mushroom because I love the felt too much. Once again, I cut out lots of leaves and stuck them about and added the details to them. I couldn't work out what was missing from this page, but it was the border. So I added that around the outside and it really pulled it all together. I drew and cut out another coffee mug and added more cutouts and stamps. And this page was done. The last two pages had a few things on them. Firstly, in the top left, I added a border to cover half the page. I tore off a piece of paper for the title, but then I decided I didn't like it, so I just cut out a strip of the lined paper instead. And this was a small spread called Latest Playlist, which lists the last 10 songs I added to my playlist, even if they're songs I already knew. I just think it would be fun to look back on and see what I was obsessing about at the time. I had this weird meshy fabric that I think came sandwiched inside my laptop when I bought it, but I drew around a tea light holder to make a circle and cut it out. Basically, I wanted to make a little vinyl to put in the background, so I wanted to poke a hole in the middle of it where the spoke thingy goes, and then I had a disaster. I ripped it. But I was hoping you wouldn't be able to tell when I stuck it down, so I made my hole in the middle anyway, and I made one on this little piece of brown paper as well to go on the top. I added some squiggly writing around the inside of the vinyl with my fine liner pen, and I think that made it look a lot more like an actual vinyl. So the last 10 songs were Jenny Was a Friend of Mine by The Killers, The Bucket by Kings of Leon, When You Were Young by The Killers, Saturday's Superhouse by Biffy Clyro, the Nate Wants to Battle cover of King for a Day, Voulez-Vous by ABBA, which is the best ABBA song, don't try and tell me that it's not, Does Your Mother Know by ABBA, Dream On by Aerosmith, Master of Puppets by Metallica, and Children by Robert Miles. Feel free to judge my chaotic taste in music in the comments below. Then underneath that, I drew another box on the second half of the page and made another title in the same way as before. This was going to be my habit tracker. I know a lot of bullet journalers do lots of little calendars with lots of habits on them, but I've tried that and I just never filled it in. It was too overwhelming, so I'm going to focus on one habit this month. I made a mini calendar using strips of the lined paper and split each one into 7. I tore off the squares I wasn't using and then wrote out my goal for the month, which for me was wearing my retainer. I am so bad at it, so I'm really going to try this month and see how many days I can tick off. I added more cutouts, including another cat. It wouldn't stick down, so I had to put a little rock on it. I'm sorry. And then I cut out a few more leaves too and scattered them about. I released the cat from rock jail and this side was finished. I love this page. It might be my favourite one for the month. So for the last page, I outlined the whole thing, and I just wanted to make a cute spread about growth in every sense of the word. So the first thing was a little record of my YouTube growth. My channel is still very small right now, but I'm so grateful for those of you who have subscribed so far, so thank you so much. I also added a little date so I could check it at a later date. After that, I added more paper, and I wanted to put a small section on personal growth and what good things I did this month in particular to grow as a person. So for this month, that was speaking up when I was upset, catching up with my friends, and keeping up with my journaling. These things are small, but they're just small victories to celebrate because I'm not always very good at them, but I really tried this month. After that, I stuck down more fluffy white paper and a rectangle of brown paper. The struggle with these stamps, I just couldn't find any of the letters. But this was going to be a little self-reminder list for growth. I wrote down 3 things here. Growth is a process, not a result. People are there to help you, and be proud of how far you've come. I think these are really important things to remind yourself of, so I wrote them down. This is a reminder for all of you too, be kind to yourselves. If you thought I'd had enough for leaves, think again. I cut out and stuck down a few more leaves on here. This cat also had to go to rock jail. And I added a few more cutouts of flowers and butterflies and bees and cats. Then in the last corner, I added a little counter for my Instagram and TikTok. Shameless plug. A lot of my other bullet journal spreads are posted on my Instagram and TikTok, links in the description. Sometimes they go there before YouTube, so if you want a sneak peek, go over there. But yeah, just as an interesting stat to look back on really, nothing much more than that, and I needed to fill this corner. So here's a finished pair of pages. I had a few more rogue cats left over, so I stuck them in any gaps I could find. And here is the final flip through. I love the brown tones and all the textures and the 3D parts on the pages. It was just a lot of fun, and it gives off super cozy vibes, which makes me happy. So that was my November bullet journal. I hope you liked it. It was a lot of fun to make. If you like the spread, like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more bullet journal content. I really want to try and do one of these videos for each month of my bullet journal, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys! I don't know what this is, but it's fun. So easily pleased.